for the 90s, only on the Family Channel.
Next, a very special interview.
Lieutenant, is there a 6-foot bat in Gotham City?
And you're invited.
Come to me.
There's something strange going on here.
Vicky Vale.
Bruce Wayne.
And what do you do for a living?
In 1989, Kim Basinger played Vicky Vale.
Why are you afraid of flying?
But the role was inspired years earlier.
At that time, I met a starlet at a party after the wrap of the big Columbia Picture serial. And she had a very breathy voice, and I thought she either had asthma or she was very passionate. Spoke in a kind of a sexy whisper. And I asked her what her name was, and she said, "My name is Norma Jean."
You'll learn who Norma Jean was, plus many other surprising facts about the hit movie Batman and the top-rated Batman TV series in our very special Family Channel presentation.
I'm Batman.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I couldn't recognize your face. But your physique was very familiar.
Pretty hard to realize that I created Batman 50 years ago. It seems like only yesterday. The old cliche, but it's true. I was 18 years old, and I don't feel much older today than 18. And as I look at my characters here on the drawing board, Batman and Robin, Catwoman, Penguin, and the Joker, it seems like I just created them a day ago. Batman, after 50 years, has had many incarnations. When I started Batman, he was kind of a vigilante, dark and brooding and mysterioso and Dracula-like. He was a loner the first year before Robin. Somehow, when Robin came in with a brighter costume, it lightened up a bit.
But I think I can handle Batman. It's just that Robin, no work and no play.
You know, maybe I could fix you up with Robin.
Well, I'll never work. He's too young. That age, all they're interested in is baseball.
I had three major influences on my creation of Batman. One was Leonardo da Vinci's flying machine. I saw a book of inventions by Leonardo da Vinci when I was, 12 years old or so. And he had the first flying machine 500 years ago. It was a man on a sled with huge bat wings. And da Vinci had a quote. And as I recall, the quote said, "Your bird shall have no other model. Remember that your bird shall have no other model but that of a bat." There it was. I just remembered the bat, and I put it away in my memory bank. And my second influence as a kid is I used to love the movies. And Douglas Fairbanks Sr. was a swashbuckling hero of the silent film. And he did a movie called The Mark of Zorro. And he wore kind of a stocking mask with slits for the eyes. And he put on a sword to his side. And he had a black horse, Raven, which exited from a cave at the side of his mansion. And lo and behold, years later, said of things to come. That's why I got the idea for the Batcave coming out of the Wayne Manor and the Batmobile instead of a horse.
Turbines to speed. Ready to move out.
third one was a movie called The Bat by Mary Roberts Reinhardt, the mystery writer. And the Bat in that film was a villain, but he wore a weird bat costume.
Nice outfit.
Well, citizen, to what do we owe the pleasure of this visit?
I was hoping to revive my TV show, People Are Funny. But I can't seem to find any unusual people in Gotham City.
No, this is just an ordinary, fine, upstanding metropolis.
Not many weirdos.
Any particular types in mind?
Oh, someone perhaps with a strange costume?
Those were my three major influences on my creation of the Batman.
We'll return in a moment to our special, The Two Masks of the Caped Crusader. And remember, you can enjoy the campy comedy of Batman and Robin every weekday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Family Channel.
Out of the mouths of boy wonders oftentimes come gems.
Watch Batman, weekdays at 5, 4 Central on the Family Channel.
When I was at DC Comics in 1938, the first superhero was created called Superman by Siegel and Schuster. And they were making about $1,500 between them. That was a lot of money in those days in 1938, comparable today to probably $5,000 a week or $10,000 a week. And I was a poor kid from Bronx, New York, and I was only earning about $20, $25 a week doing fill-in cartoons. So one day I went over to the editor, Vincent Sullivan, and I said, hey, would you like to take on another super-duper character? And he said, sure, we're doing great with Superman. Can you come up with something? I said, for $1,500 a week, I can come up with anything, believe me. And I want to make my character different, not a copycat character of Superman. I think it's the simplicity of the line. Like, when I was discussing drawing with Walt Disney at one point in time, and we were discussing why some characters catch on and some do not. And Mickey Mouse has a very simple, it's a very simply drawn figure as Batman is, and very recognizable. And the main thing to all comic strip creations, basically, is to have it recognized immediately. And the way I drew Batman at the beginning, he was more simplified than a lot of the ghost artists that took over in the latter years, where they overdraw it and they put too many lines on the head and the face and the figure and so forth. But I just had it kind of simple, where everybody would recognize it immediately. So it's very easy to draw. Actually, the way I draw is I see the vision on paper before I even put the line down. It's kind of like my eye is like a camera. And no matter what I draw, I just visualize it immediately, whether it be a locomotive or I may do some research on, you know, things like trains or automobiles or buildings. But when it comes to figures, I could just kind of make them up. I just visualize what I want to put down, and lo and behold, I see it, and then I just trace it in my mind's eye. And I guess that's my talent. I was born with it. It's a gift, like other gifts. Some people have natural singing voices. Some people like to act, and they have a natural talent for that at the beginning. But I just always was a doodler from way back, and I used to doodle on all my school books in class, and it got me in a lot of trouble. Well, I was giving you a bibliography of the Batman. So that weekend, I created a character with stiff bat wings behind him, brought it in on a Monday, and I said, there it is, the Batman. And Vincent Sullivan liked it and bought it immediately as a second superhero for DC Comics. And as they say, it became history after that. My famous signature with a big O, a box around it. And then I created Robin a year later in the image of a boy wonder, visualizing that all boys his age, 13, 14, would visualize themselves fighting crime alongside Batman, a superhero.
Sir, please help me, please.
What's the matter?
A horrible man dressed in green tights just leapt out of the bushes and seized my little brother.
What? Dressed in green?
Yes, and he shouted the strangest thing. He said, a clue. He shouted at me, and what is a bonnet, not a bonnet?
The Riddler. And that clue's a snap. A bonnet is not a bonnet when it becomes a young woman.
Oh, how clever you are.
And then, lo and behold, we needed a villain. And I used to play practical jokes on my friends as a kid. So I thought of, and I used to play cards a lot when I was a youngster, and I remembered the Joker playing cards.
Thank heavens for my delicious sense of humor.
Gotham City always brings a smile to my face.
Bash them! Bash them! Crash them!
Have a little whiff of my posy.
A rhinestone bracelet, a fox fur stole, and 1 full quart of imported Mexican perfume.
Oh, gee, Joker. I'm sorry I sassed you. Why, this is like some lovely dream.
You look fine.
I didn't ask.
Now, in 1949, I met a starlet at a party after the wrap of the big Columbia Picture serial. And as it turned out, she became Marilyn Monroe. At that time, we went down to the beach one afternoon on a Sunday, and I did some sketches of her. And I went back to New York, and I created a character called Vicky Vale, photojournalist, which was in Marilyn Monroe's image. And I told them to give her blonde hair, but the colorist gave her red hair, in the comic book, that is. And lo and behold, 40 years later, in the new Batman motion picture, we have Kim Basinger playing Vicky Vale.
Why are you afraid of flying?
We'll be right back with our special, The Two Masks of the Caped Crusader. And don't forget, you can laugh at all those crazy Batman criminals every weekday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Family Channel.
In 1966, we had a tremendous smash hit television show starring Adam West and Burt Ward. And it was a campy show, more in the comedic, but it was terrific because it literally was a transition from the comic book to the screen, and with a PAL band sock and everything else. But the TV show I thought was fun, and still is, because it's an entity into itself. It's really pop art. It's a great show. The Batman TV show, we had almost every famous actor in Hollywood that vied for a cameo role because it was so campy and they wanted their children to see them in it, you know. And we had, oh my goodness, we had Liberace and Tallulah Bankhead, even John Gielgud, the Shakespearean actor, had played one of the villains. There were so many. Of course, there was Frank Gorshin, who played the Riddler, and Burgess Meredith played the Penguin. He was perfect for it. Yeah, quack, 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 quack. He was terrific.
You're arresting me? As a duly deputized agent of the law? That's what I hereby do.
Really, gentlemen, I'm dismayed. This morning's Gotham City Times, the Society page. Among the highlights will be a medley of Highland airs sung by Mrs. Harriet Cooper to the piano of the incomparable Chandel. This travesty's gone far enough. Now, are you going to call Batman, or do I have to call him myself? On that famous hotline I've read so much about.
Mr. Chandel, it's useless. The grim truth is that Batman and Robin are on vacation.
The dynamic duo out of town? How crushing.
This year's Mother of the Year award. Such a dear little lady. Won't you say a few words? Mother of the Year.
Why, Mrs. Chairlady, I'll be happy to say a few words.
Your Highness, please don't hate me for mentioning them, but what about Batman and Robin?
Batman and Robin. The nights I've lain awake, scheming, plotting my revenge against those flat footprints in the sands of time. those shadows on the sundial of true criminal genius. However, if Batman and the boy blunder, if they should attempt to cross my plans, they'll find they're just in time to count their final seconds. And when they do, I'll strike hard.
My criminal career is now extinct.
Foolish, evil man.
You're going to end up where all broken eggshells end up. In the garbage.
Give me a break, Batman.
You'll be dealt with fairly. In a court of law. Miss Bacon, I'm puzzled why a girl of your obvious breeding, education, style, and class should have become involved with someone like Egghead.
I guess I'm just lucky, Batman. Is this the end of the book, Eggy Pooh?
The end. Period. I guess I laid an egg.
Of course, Adam West as Batman was the atypical comic book character come to life. 6'2", square jaw, as I envisioned him in the comic book. And the whole idea of the TV show was to play it straight. It's Boy Scout time all the way.
Sorry, Batman. I'm afraid the boy is underage. It's the law.
Please, it's Batman! Anything I can do for you, sir? Check your tape?
Ringside table, Batman?
Just looking, thanks. I'll stand at the bar. I shouldn't wish to attract attention. A large fresh orange juice, please.
Yes, sir.
That's okay, Batman. Cooperate. Thanks, officer.
You're done.
Mr. O'Shea, this is Batman.
Who?
We met several weeks ago at the newspaper.
You put me on.
I wonder, could you do me a favor?
Now, come on. Who is this really? Hubble? Leonard?
This is really Batman.
I'll be an out-of-work actor.
Next, Bob Kane talks about the selection of Michael Keaton as the new mask of the Caped Crusader continues. And remember, Batman Fun also continues every weekday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Family Channel.
Batman the movie 89. It's been a long time in coming. We started to do this movie 9 years ago, believe it or not. The movie is film noir. It has a different look to it. The sets are awesome. They look like Fritz Lang's Metropolis or Blade Runner. They have a futuristic and yet an old look to them of the 40s of New York, of Gotham, plus a futuristic look. It looks like a city erupted. It looks like almost a Holocaust. It's an unusual set against the backdrop for the Joker and the Batman to fight that old scenario against one another. Of course, at the beginning, I always wanted Jack Nicholson for the Joker. He has a maniacal quality about him, even without makeup. Now the search was on for Batman. Well, the atypical Batman, you think the way they would go would be to get a Batman 6'2", the hunk, the way I envisioned him at the beginning in the Batman comic book, and also kind of like an Adam West type. This here was a three-dimensional realistic film. This wasn't to be campy. It wasn't to be a comedy. We weren't going to camp it up. We wanted it to be realistic. So Tim Burton and I had a discussion, the director and I, and the powers brokers at Warner Brothers, and decided that we may go against typecasting, because we couldn't find anyone in Hollywood that had the edge, that certain edge to play up to Jack Nicholson. We knew Jack would blow the picture apart, and we needed an actor that could stand up to Jack's momentum. And so Tim Burton worked with Michael Keaton on Beetlejuice, and he suggested him to me, and at first I thought, well, I don't see Michael Keaton as being the type I visualized my whole life. I was so preconditioned to the big Hulk, you know, the hunk, 6'2", square jaw. Michael Keaton stands about 5'10". He doesn't have particularly a square jaw. But Tim said the movie is not about a chin, Bob. It's about a good actor, a three-dimensional flesh and blood actor, a Bruce Wayne that is tortured and has deep psychological problems because of the death of his parents when he was a kid. And who would don a bat costume? He'd have to be very neurotic to don a bat costume to begin with.
My life is really complex.
I guess Batman has some mystique. He's a crusader fighting against all injustices in the world. And I think people feel like he's their champion. He's fighting all their hurts and all their injustices. And my alter ego, I like to be a crime fighter. And the apple doesn't fall far from the creator's pen or thought, because I can't stand all injustices perpetrated against mankind, particularly against me. And I know when I was a poor kid, there were a lot of injustices perpetrated against my family. But somehow I guess I was always attracted to the evil side of man as well as the good side. I think all people have a split personality anyway, providing the good prevails and the evil doesn't.
I have given a name to my pain.
What are you? I'm Batman.
Batman is even bigger than ever today, and the resurgence just keeps continuing. I'm really amazed by it myself. I'm looking at this Batman comic book now in 1989, and when I created Batman in 1939, it was 10 cents in 1939. A vintage copy of Batman today goes for anywhere between $35,000 and $50,000. Don't buy stock, buy comic books. Batman comic books. Holy inflation, Batman.